KFI AM 640. You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly. On demand on the iHeartRadio app.
It is Later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Mark Ronner in for Mo with Tiffany Hobbs. Thanks for being here with me again, Tiffany.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to share the airwaves with you.
Yes,
Mr.
allowing. Mo will be back with Tuwala tomorrow. We will hear all about their cruise and their assorted adventures. Adventures is the word that I can say on the air, because I'm excited to find out about all the filth they got up to, all the drunkenness, all the key swapping parties, whatever else people do on cruises. The only thing I know about cruises is from the old Kolchak the Night Stalker episode, where Carl Kolchak has to go do a feature on a cruise ship. And it turns out there's a werewolf on the cruise ship. And I don't think that's the experience Mo and Tuwala are having. Do you know the episode I'm talking about?
I don't, but I do think that if anyone were to have that experience, it would be Mo and Tuwala on a cruise ship.
Well, here's a spoiler if you haven't seen it. There's no silver bullets on the ship, so Kolchak has to sneak into the captain's cabin and cut the buttons off his dress uniform and melt them down into bullets, but there's no priest aboard to bless them, so he's got to get a rabbi to bless them so that he can shoot the werewolf, and it still doesn't go as planned. So I'm excited to hear how this went for Mo and Tuwala. We got some good guests tonight. We have Jackie Ray, of course, coming in on her normal night to talk about sports, which will be funny because I don't know anything about sports. Also, a really, really cool guest. One of the first people I thought of when I found out we were going to be hosting the show, Allison Martino of Vintage LA is going to be here at 9 o'clock. She seems like a terrific person. I'm a terrible judge of people, but she seems like a lot of fun, and I know we're going to have a ton to talk about. Hope you had a relaxing Labor Day. Tiffany, you said you went swimming today?
I did. I was off today from my day job teaching, thankfully, and I was able to go swimming before work. That never happens.
But you didn't grill anything. Did nobody grill anything? Foosh, you grill anything? Nothing?
Not today. Nope.
Eileen, you don't look like a griller. No, she's shaking her head. We've got Eileen Gonzalez.
You'd be surprised. I want to be a vegan really badly, but I just can't. I like steak too much. And I do try. I eat vegan most of the time, but I do love barbecue and a good steak.
I should tell you, and I do admire vegans, and I told Mark Thompson I would like to get some information about him, because the couple times I've tried to go vegan in the past, I thought I was dying. I had no energy. I thought my hair was falling out. But what I strenuously object to on vegan foods is the fake grill marks. Like, either do it or don't do it. Don't try to pretend like you've got some tofu that's secretly meat that you've got the grill marks on. I was thinking, it's Labor Day, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. If you're against labor unions, I hope you work today. I hope you didn't take the day off. Like, people who don't get to celebrate Labor Day, Howard Schultz. I hope Howard Schultz of Starbucks is working the counter there today. You don't get to take Labor Day off work if you're a union buster. I didn't get to grill anything today because my car engine's light came on, and I didn't get to go to Costco, which I do most weekends, believe it or not, because I'm a patriot.
You and Bill Handel. Bill Handel goes to Costco all the time.
I believe that's the one thing that we have in common, because is there anything more American than Costco? Is there anything more American than bulk consumerism? And no judgment. They don't have any judgment. Like, here, when I go to Ralph's, I always have to explain myself to the checker when I have like 5 packs of cookies to get the sale price. That's insidious, by the way. You can get just one packet of cookies for $5 like a schmo, or you can get them for $2 if you buy 5 of them. And you don't want to get caught without cookies if we have a pandemic again, or a zombie apocalypse.
Never.
So 5 it is. But I'm always explaining to the cashier, I hope you know I'm not just driving straight home and eating these 5 things of cookies like a filthy animal, right? You got to buy 5 to get the sale price, and they're just looking at me like, just get through the line, buddy. or like soup. No, ma'am, I haven't just had my jaw wired shut, and I can eat other things, but to get this soup for $1, I had to buy 8 of them. Otherwise, they were $4 a piece. Nice to meet you. By the way, my name's Andy Warhol. Now, because I was a bag boy for a little while in high school, you better believe we used to profile people by what they bought. I mean, that's what they all do and what they always have do. Like, how could you not? Like, box of tampons and some ice cream. Hope your evening goes okay, man.
Easy, Mark. Easy.
Like, honestly, best of luck. I'm not going to get in your face about anything. This was before every single person who watches network TV knew what an FBI profiler was. People who work at grocery stores, they should be called in to solve crimes because they've been little consumer Sherlock Holmes forever, and they judge you. I'm not going to say we judge you. It's been a while since I did that. So let me see. Champagne, a couple lobster tails, box of Magnums. Too easy. Give me something more challenging. They don't do that at Costco, though, is my point. I went through the checkout at Costco a few days ago with a couple of gigantic bottles of vodka because they're dirt cheap there. You're insane if you don't.
That's why, sure.
It's an insanely good deal. Why wouldn't you? And then I was in the aisle and I saw a killer deal on tequila. Big, gigantic bottle of Hornitos for like $25. Approximately a small barrel of it. When $25, it'd get you maybe 2 shots of it at a bar. But I'm feeling self-conscious when I get to the front of the line. Maybe they slip a pamphlet into your stuff when they see these kinds of purchases like, do you need help, sir? Do you have a drinking problem? No, I do not need help unless you're going to suggest a mixer for all of this. So preemptively, I say to the cashier, got to stock up for emergencies. No one wants to get short, a month into the purge, and I know this might seem like a lot, but without hesitation, the cashier is like, nope, we're on the same page. Now, I may be imagining this, but I seriously thought she wanted to high-five me. She was encouraging me. She was validating me. She saw me, and she was not repulsed. Now, all that said, I love Costco, but you'd think they could use a PA system when the store's closing instead of the cutting edge technology that they do use, which consists of a woman at the back of the store shouting at people to get the hell out of the store. Costco is now, they herd employees to the front of the store. Have you been in a Costco when they're closing?
I have not. I try to stay away from things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just short of turning the hose on people. I would almost rather have the hose turned on me. And since it's Labor Day, I did a little Googling and found out that Costco has something like a 94% retention rate with employees. They offer medical, dental benefits, even to part-timers. And so I do feel better. I feel more patriotic shopping at Costco than Walmart. And I don't know why more people don't talk about this and don't seem bothered by it. Walmart pays their employees so little that it's one of the employers with the most workers, along with McDonald's, I think, on public benefits, food stamps, Medicaid. And guess who pays for that? Us, taxpayers, while the Walton family keeps getting richer than oil sultans. Anyone who tells you that that's a right or left issue, I think they're gaslighting you. It's a getting soaked issue. I mean, people right, left, and center pay taxes, and Walmart pays its employees so little they got to go on public assistance, and we have to take up the slack for that. They can afford to pay better, but why should they when they can fleece taxpayers into footing the bill for all that? Seems like the opposite of patriotic. I get the feeling that some people aren't crazy about hearing that, but you have to explain to me why, because they sell red, white, and blue stuff in this store. You got to tell me how you can possibly defend that. Something to think about on Labor Day. When we come back, we are going to stay in the Mo Kelly show, later with Mo Kelly tradition of covering metro incidents, but let's make it a surprise.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Mark Ronner in for Mo Kelly and Tuwala with Tiffany Hobbs here with me as well. It is a day ending in Y, so of course there's been another metro incident. But Metro doesn't seem to be the one to blame in this one, though. Still, maybe time for the people who run Metro to burn some sage on some buses, do an exorcism, start some hazard pay for drivers. I'll give you the highlights here. 3 cars attempting to start a street takeover crashed into a Metro bus in LA's Vermont Vista neighborhood overnight. Video from the scene shows the mangled vehicles, including one that had been turned on its side in front of the bus at the crash site, located near the intersection of South Figueroa Street and Century Boulevard. After the crash, all 3 drivers fled the scene. The Metro spokesman said the bus was stopped at a red light when the collision occurred. Here's what happened. A Metro Line 81 bus was waiting at a red traffic signal behind a vehicle when a third vehicle attempting to make a left turn collided with the vehicle, pushing it in front of the bus. My God, these guys can't get a break.
They can't. And it's really funny that you say this is a story that's somewhat atypical. Usually Metro is in the victim position, or rather the victimizer position. And in this case, they are the victim. So we have a bit of sympathy for them.
And sympathy for the drivers. What do these guys say to their spouses, men or women, when they leave the house for work every day?
It's hazardous.
Like, it's been a good life. You're the love of my life. No matter what happens, never forget that. And if I come home, what are we having for dinner tonight?
The interesting thing about this story too, Mark, is that, and we were speaking about this off air, typically Labor Day, Memorial Day, these long weekends are synchronous when it comes to the volume of high traffic incidents, DUIs, things like that. And there were no shortage of these incidents. There was another one that has kind of flown under the radar at this point. It hasn't been picked up by the local TV outlets, but it is all over kind of these social media, local blogs that follow crime and also report to the TV stations. And what happened was there was an incident in downtown LA's Santee Village. And if you're familiar with that part of downtown LA, there are lots of old factories that have since been converted into lofts. And it's a very trendy area, if you will, 8th and Los Angeles Street, right there. And there's this little area that houses multiple developments, and they share this parking garage. I say all this to say there were YouTubers there filming because the area itself is very picturesque. They've used it for lots of movie backdrops and whatnot. And these YouTubers were there getting content, and they got content. Oh, did they? They were able to somehow catch a crime in action. And I say somehow kind of in jest because it's LA and you can probably catch crime if you just look out of any window. There's probably crime happening right outside of our studio right now.
Well, one can hope.
LA. Yeah. One can hope. Well, they did. And they were able to catch this person driving erratically. And this person was on 8th Street, crashes into this gate of this apartment complex, these multi-development area, knocks down this gate, reverses, goes backwards down the street. The makings of everything you could imagine good newscast might include, except these are YouTubers catching this all on their cell phones.
Well, they catch everything because, listen, if you had these YouTubers with the camera phones back like when The Fugitive was on TV, Richard Kimball would have been busted after one season. He wasn't going to make it multiple seasons because they see everything. It's like the CCTVs in that old MI5 show. We have no privacy anymore. Anything you do is going to get filmed.
Right. So they film this guy, and this guy, again, is driving backwards. Then the person goes forward, hits a fire department truck, which is in pursuit of whatever. So there's all this happening, this huge kind of cacophonous just crime center right there involving this one person who is clearly drunk. So that's where the DUI thing comes in, or in some way intoxicated. Well, these YouTubers pursue this guy. They get in their cars, they follow him, they call the police, and in the interim, they decide that they're going to corner this person, who then gets out of the car, runs into another parking lot. They find him with his little legs sticking out from behind a car, trying to hide. And you know, if you've ever had too much to drink, your
never in my life
rationalization is always off. He probably thought he was really well hidden. No, and this is all on video, so you can see it. But they catch him, and they use a cell phone charger, a portable charger, and they hold it and kind of conceal it to make it look like it's a weapon of some sort. And this is a YouTuber who then approaches this guy and makes a full-on citizen's arrest.
So this is the 21st century equivalent of holding your index finger in the pocket of your coat and pretending like you got a heater in there. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Except
right.
now
we're
using digital devices. And so they hold this person there. They put the person's arm behind their back, and the police do show up, and they hand off this person to the police, who this person was then booked for DUI and causing all of these things. And again, this has flown under the radar, but it really speaks to kind of the chaos that happens over these 3-day weekends, including the situation with the Metro and this attempted street takeover with these cars crashing into a bus.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen all the Fast and Furious movies. Is there one of them where Vin Diesel gets taken out by a Metro bus?
If it hasn't happened already, it's probably in the works.
I mean, I just can't imagine, like, when I was, say, I don't know, Charlie Brown age, 8, 9, 10 years old, I went everywhere on city buses, and I went alone, and nobody cared. Nothing ever happened. But could you imagine letting your kids do that at this point?
For some, it's a necessity, and it does not come without that paranoia and that anxiety. It's very volatile. It's very unpredictable. I think what you can predict is that there likely will be something to happen surrounding Metro. And in this case, they're the innocent ones.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we were home in time for dinner, nobody cared where we went, because this kind of stuff never happened before. So, like, I would imagine a kid today coming home and the parents like, so, anything happened today, son? Oh, just an attack on the driver and, a street takeover crash. Oh, is that all? Let's pass the meatloaf.
That's kind of where it's going.
I just can't, you could make an argument now for sending your kid everywhere in an Uber, driving them yourself, and having them chipped like a pet until they're at least 18 years old.
Yeah, I think you have to.
I like to end on a dystopian positive note like that. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the landslide in Rancho Palos Verdes. It is getting worse fast, and people are in a pretty serious position, not sure what they can do.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Mo and Tuwala will be back tomorrow, and they'll tell you all about their ordeal. I mean, their fun cruise. We have some actual news to talk about tonight, and it seems like a situation in Rancho Palos Verdes is getting more and more dire. Give you a little information here, then go to a news report on it. An additional 105 residences will lose electricity today as Southern California Edison continues implementing safeguards amid worsening landslides threatening areas of Rancho Palos Verdes. Foosh, will you play the news clip, please? And here
gas-powered generators are now the main source of power for nearly 140 homes in the Portuguese Bend community of Rancho Palos Verdes after Southern California Edison shut off the electricity due to safety concerns with the shifting land.
We got the one-day notice just this weekend during a holiday weekend about electricity. That has been just unreal, to be quite honest with you.
Kevin Kroos rushed out to buy a generator Saturday night. He says it's been frustrating to be given less than 24 hours to prepare.
It's crazy, just driving all over the place, still a lot of unknowns. I have no idea how long the generator works with a tank of gas. I'm trying to feel that out.
This power shutoff comes 1 month after the gas was shut off as the landslides in Rancho Palos Verdes continue to worsen. It has been shifting since the 1950s, but it's now moving at an accelerated rate of more than a foot a week in certain areas. The increase in heavy rains last year sped up the movement, damaging homes and roads.
Just did this just to reinforce it. Didn't want the garage coming down here.
Kroos has been making adjustments to protect the foundation since purchasing the property to deal with the crisis, which he says is manageable, but feels continuously running the loud generator is not an ideal solution moving forward.
Like, this cannot be long term. Like, I'm already losing my mind. It's been a couple days. I'm making constant adjustments. I don't want to run the generator. It's really loud at night, so I have to turn it off, and there's no power in the house. I got to decide, when it's ready for, time to go to bed. I really don't need that much power, but if an emergency happened and I need, now I need to have lanterns, flashlights, I need to have all these things prepared.
And it's also expensive. Crow says a generator of this size to run a home that's about 4,000 square feet costs around $2,500 and about $75 a day worth of gas just to fill it up. I did reach out to the city to see if there's any plans to reimburse or to help with paying off the generators or paying for gas. I have still not heard back.
What a nightmare. And running a generator indefinitely is no plan at all. So the latest shutoff was scheduled for 7 tonight in the Seaview area. That comes a day after residents in 140 homes in the Portuguese Bend community lost their electricity. They're under an evacuation warning. Some other highlights, although that's not really the word you want here. 47 homes without power for 24 hours. 40 properties without power for 1 to 3 weeks. 20 properties without power indefinitely. They've got vehicles, community care vehicles set up throughout the day to give people some help. I don't know what they can do, though. Without gas, electricity service, many residents may choose to seek alternative housing arrangements for the foreseeable future. The city's identifying hotels and other accommodations that can offer discounted rates for residents. Again, a hotel. How long can you stay in a hotel?
And it assumes that people have this sort of emergency fund to be able to furnish this sort of, disaster relief. And I know Janice Hahn, Supervisor Hahn, is asking for aid. She's appealing to Governor Newsom to try and get somewhere upwards of $1 billion in aid. But until that happens, people are going to be footing the bill individually. And again, this is a community that is not necessarily wealthy. They have really expensive homes. And yes, there are people there who are wealthy or do have a lot of money, but then there are other people who got in a long time ago.
A lot of seniors
who are living right at their means.
And this is their home.
This is their home. This is their savings. This is their retirement. And now all of this is in peril. And they're saying indefinitely. How the open-endedness of this is insane. And right at the beginning of a heat wave. And at the coast, at Portuguese Bend, which I'm very familiar with, yes, it is typically cooler than inland, but it can get really warm. And when you're dealing with all of this, it's just adding insult to injury.
I see here the land movement in Rancho Palos Verdes has accelerated across 680 acres following heavy rains in the spring of 2023, which caused more damage to homes and roads and utilities. So I guess there's a climate change component to this, but there's more to it than that. Oh, and by the way, the fear of looters. For God's sakes, can you imagine a lower life form than somebody looting a home that people have had to skedaddle out of because they're afraid it's going to slide into the ocean?
And it happened before, which is why they're issuing these warnings to residents and to the local law enforcement, because back in May, back in March, back in these other, in the past previous months where they've been dealing with these evacuations, they absolutely had looting activity.
And arrests, too. So I see that Sheriff Luna has authorized drones to help guard against possible criminal activity. But what good is a drone going to do if somebody just gets in and out? I mean, I guess maybe help identifying them. There's more to the situation than the rain, though. This is pretty interesting. It was ancient landslide that goes back thousands of years, which was activated by more recent tunneling involving a section of Crenshaw Boulevard. You get that? Some of this, or it was some unspecified portion of it, percentage of this awful landslide that's inconveniencing, displacing, losing the homes possibly of countless people. This was from something that could have been avoided. So tunneling through something that really got this going. Who is responsible for this? Who pays? And I got to tell you, this is so dire that it sounds to me like something out of one of those 70s disaster movies. Are you too young for these? The ones in Sense Around that shook the seats? Like you would have Charlton Heston warning somebody, you can't do this, or X, Y, and Z is going to happen. And this is the X, Y, and Z. So it seems to me like if this is true, that it's at least partially the result of tunneling. Somebody's got to answer for this. Somebody's got to pay. Somebody's got to make these people whole again. Like, I don't really understand engineering at all. Of all the stuff I try to school myself on, engineering baffles me more than almost anything. So, like, there are sometimes late at night, I'll have a nightcap and I'll turn on YouTube and watch documentaries about these skyscrapers in New York, and it gives me anxiety attacks. I'm not kidding you. So the prospect of building in an area like this that might be a little dicey to begin with, and then just kind of doing the whole gopher routine in networks that destabilize all the ground underneath, that seems insane to me. It's
a huge part of the city, of this region, that is going away, and forcibly, violently, some might say. It really kind of, we thought, peaked with Wayfarer's Chapel back in May.
Remind people what happened with that, if you can recall the details.
Maybe we can do that when we come back.
Oh, is it time to break? No, let's move on. But we're going to stay on top of this story at KFI, so stay tuned. When we come back from the break, we are going to talk about sports fans getting cut right off and the weekend box office. And after that, Jackie Ray, Allison Martino, full night ahead. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Mark Ronner in from the newsroom from Mo Kelly, who is off on a cruise with Tuwala. Tiffany Hobbs here, making sure I don't burst into tears or suffer a bout of incontinence here in the host booth. Different chair, but same crew. You got Foosh in the air mix. We've got, okay, not fully the same crew. We've got Eileen, who is new in the news department. Welcome aboard, Eileen. What did I say to you the first time I trained you? You don't remember.
You said run.
Okay, apart from that, I said your learning curve is frightening me and you're going to have my job. I just didn't think it was going to be quite this fast. We've got Kiana, and I think we're good to go. This story that we're going to do right now is hilarious because playing the sports theme before I talk is about the most inappropriate thing in the world. Not only do I not follow sports or know anything about most sports that people watch, I did all the crappy ones that nobody likes. Like I wrestled and I had to wear the singlet, which honestly rather unflattering. No matter what kind of shape you think you're in, the singlet. I ran, I did kickboxing, and these are not real crowd pleasers of sports. But I'm gonna start off with a story here, and then you're going to understand why this is interesting to me. The statute of limitations has run out on this. It's been decades. One time, and I really wasn't into sports, one time when I was living in Indiana, working at my first newspaper, and barely making enough to make rent and have a nightcap after my police beat shift at the end of the night. I had no money whatsoever, dirt poor. I heard there was going to be a Wild Wild West TV show marathon on one of the cable channels. I didn't have cable. So what did I do? I got a ladder out of the landlord's garage, and I started hacking into my neighbor Hippie Jim's cable. And I had a splitter that I bought for like $1.50 at the store. And I'm up on the ladder. I've cut it in half. I've got half of it in my mouth and the knife in the other hand. And I look down and I see Hippie Jim and his wife standing there looking up at me like they're going to kill me. Like it's one of those stand your ground states, because apparently I had cut off their cable right in the middle of an important sports game that they're watching to watch the Wild Wild West. They were within their rights to take my life at this time. And so what's that got to do with this is that ESPN's gone off the air on a major carrier for the second straight year during the U.S. Open tennis tournament. And in the midst of the first full weekend of college football, Disney Entertainment channels went dark on DirecTV Sunday night after the sides were unable to reach a new carriage agreement. The move angered some sports fans. You think? I bet seismologists here at the university probably picked up the tremor from people yelling that one word that starts with... Do
you know who was playing yesterday when this happened, football-wise?
Of course I don't. Who?
USC, my alma mater, and LSU, which was a hugely anticipated game, watched by so many people, and it was held in Las Vegas. And there was a lot of interest because this is kind of the foray into SC being a part of a whole new division.
Yeah.
And we won, but it was interrupted in the very beginning by this this.
It's not funny. I don't know. But on the scale of 1 to 10 of just absolute outrages that would make you want to get on somebody with a baseball bat, what is this? With 8, 10, 11?
This is a 13.
Really?
When you're watching the game. Now that we're calm, it's a 1. It's a 2 because you're looking at these two huge conglomerates arguing about money. But during your game, during the U.S. Open, during college football's first weekend, no one wants to. You wait all year for these things.
No, and apparently this is the result of unresolved negotiations between DirecTV and Disney, resulting in the loss of access to ESPN. ABC-owned stations in L.A., San Francisco Bay Area, Fresno, New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Houston, Raleigh. They also got cut off. Last year, Disney and Spectrum, which is the nation's second largest cable TV provider, were involved in a nearly 12-day impasse until coming to an agreement hours before the first Monday night NFL game of the season. Like, there's a white-knuckle finish for you. DirecTV says Disney offered an extension to keep the channels on the air in exchange for, listen to this, DirecTV having to waive all future legal claims that its behavior is anti-competitive. And even if I don't know much about sports, I can tell you waiving all future legal claims tends to be a bit of a red flag, wouldn't you think?
Oh, yes. So I can understand DirecTV not wanting to enter into that type of agreement.
What's extra funny is that the DirecTV people are getting into some smack talk here against old Uncle Walt. Here's the chief content officer, Rob Thune of DirecTV. The Walt Disney Company is once again refusing any accountability to consumers, distribution partners, and now the American judicial system. Disney's in the business of creating alternate realities, but this is the real world where we believe you earn your way and must answer for your own actions. Honestly, this sounds a little bit... It's a little bureaucratese. But this is throwing down in corporate language. This is like saying,
Those are fighting words.
Here's a middle finger for you, Uncle Walt. And here is Disney's response. Well, I'll read the response and then we can interpret it. While we're open to offering DirecTV flexibility in terms which we've extended to other distributors, we will not enter into an agreement that undervalues our portfolio of television channels and programs. They want more money.
They do. It's Disney. They always want more money.
But honestly, after the Acolyte, shouldn't you be a little bit humble about what you're asking people to cough up? I mean, really. So the DirecTV guy really goes for it again down here. He says, Disney's only magic is forcing prices to go up while simultaneously making its content disappear. I mean, they might as well just say, it's not the happiest place on earth, Disneyland. Go there and kill yourself. They're really pulling out the stops here. Or like Disney, the happiest place on earth for me to poop on. If it were Triumph, the insult comic dog. We blew right through the box office results for the weekend. Maybe we'll get to that later in the show. Like, say, for instance, if a guest stiffs us tonight. But we're going to go to a break right now. And when we come back, Jackie Ray is going to come and school me about what's going on in sports this week. Mark Groner with Tiffany Hobbs, later with Mo Kelly, live on, wait a minute, sir.
KFI, AM 640.
I had like 4 different things written down, and I can't read my own handwriting. But by this point, it should be imprinted on my Cortex. KFI, AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You did it.
You've been listening to Later with Mo Kelly. You can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.